You've been lied to. Your brain tells you that having $100,000 is just 10% of the way to being a millionaire. It feels like you're at the bottom of a massive mountain, looking up at the summit, thinking it's going to take you 10 times as long to finish as it took to start. But here's the cold, hard truth. Mathematically, in terms of time, $100,000 is actually the halfway point. If you can get to the first 100K, you are 50% of the way to a million. My name's Simba, and I spend my day researching about the psychology of finance. If you're someone who feels like you're saving aggressively but your net worth barely moves, or if you feel trapped in what I call the psychological desert of early investing, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Let's talk about the linear bias versus the geometric reality. Here's the thing. Human beings are terrible at understanding exponential growth. We're linear thinkers living in a geometric world. We think if we walk 10 steps, we get 10 feet. But money doesn't walk, it compounds. This misconception that $100,000 is a small fraction of a million is a cognitive bias rooted in arithmetic thinking. But in wealth building, the primary variable isn't just dollars, it's time. And when we measure by time, the $100,000 milestone often sits at the exact midpoint of a multi-decade journey. Let me prove it to you with actual numbers, because the data on this is absolutely wild. Let's say you are a moderate saver. You're contributing $100 a month into the market, and you're getting a consistent 7% return. To go from 0 to $1 million, do you know how long that takes? Approximately 59 years. Now, most people think the halfway point, year 29 or 30, would be when you have $500,000, right? Wrong. At year 29, literally half your investing life, your accumulated balance is only about $115,000. Think about that for a second. For the moderate saver, the first 6 figures consume nearly half of their entire productive investing life. Why? Because in the beginning, you are doing 100% of the heavy lifting. The first phase of accumulation is powered entirely by your savings rate, while the latter phase is fueled by the internal rate of return on the assets you already own. It's a structural pivot. The first 100K is all you. The next 900K is mostly the market. I want you to visualize an airplane. This is the best analogy for your bank account. When a Boeing 737 takes off, it burns fuel at the absolute highest rate per minute. The engines are screaming, fighting gravity, trying to get that massive metal tube off the ground. The takeoff and climb might account for 19% of the total fuel usage, even though it's a tiny fraction of the flight's duration. Your journey to $100,000 is the takeoff. It requires the highest burn rate of human effort and capital relative to the portfolio's output. You are fighting the gravity of life, taxes, rent, inflation, stupidity. But once that plane reaches cruising altitude, the air is thinner, drag is reduced. The engines operate at maximum efficiency, using 95 to 96% of the fuel for the majority of the journey. In the financial world, $100,000 is your cruising altitude. Beyond this point, the drag of your manual labor is replaced by the propulsive efficiency of compounding returns. But here is where most of you are failing. You are quitting during the takeoff because it feels too hard. You're in what I call the psychological desert. Let's look at the math of the struggle. If you save $650 a month at a 7% return, in your first year, you contribute $7,800. Do you know what the market gives you? $546. That is demoralizing. You did all the work and the market bought you a nice dinner. It's not until years 9.5 to 10.5 that the math flips. Suddenly, you add $7,800, but the market gives you nearly $15,000 in accrued interest. That is a 2-to-1 ratio of passive growth to active labor. That is when you've reached escape velocity. In my last video, I talked about the Rule of 72 and how it helps you with impulse spending. This is another situation where the Rule of 72 comes in to save your sanity.
The rule of 72 is a simplified way to estimate how long it takes for your money to double. You divide 72 by your annual rate of return. To get from $100,000 to $1 million, you need approximately 3.32 doubles. Here's the magic trick. As your balance grows, the time between milestones compresses. It shrinks. Let's look at an investor contributing $1,000 a month. To get the first $100,000, it takes 7.3 years. That's a long grind. To get the second $100,000, it only takes 5.2 additional years. To get the fifth $100,000, it takes 2.8 years. Do you see what's happening?
The jump from $500,000 to $1 million, a jump of $500,000, takes only 6.8 years. That is faster than the time it took you to scrape together your very first $100,000. This is where Charlie Munger, the late great investing legend, famously said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch." He wasn't trying to be rude, he was being mathematically accurate. He advised people to find a way to get your hands on $100,000 regardless of the sacrifice. Walk everywhere if you have to, because once you cross that line, the physics change. Let's talk about the Sarah versus Michael paradox. I want to show you one more comparison that usually blows people's minds. It demonstrates why starting early to get to that 100K is more important than saving later. Let's look at Sarah and Michael. Sarah starts at age 25. She is a beast. She saves $500 a month for just 10 years. By age 35, she hits roughly $100,000. And then she stops. She never invests another dime. Her total out-of-pocket investment is just $60,000. Then there is Michael. Michael parties in his 20s. He waits until age 35 to start. He realizes he's behind, so he saves $500 a month for 30 years straight. He puts in $180,000 of his own cash. Who wins at age 65? Sarah, who quit investing 30 years ago, has $1,142,000. Michael, who kept hustling until the end, has $680,000. Sarah's $60,000 of early effort crushed Michael's $180,000 of late effort. Why? Because she reached the cruising altitude a decade sooner. She let the aerodynamics of the market carry her, while Michael was still burning fuel on the runway.
Now look, I know what you're shouting at the screen right now. Simba, everything is expensive. It's 2026. And you are right. The journey to $100,000 is increasingly difficult in the current economic landscape. As of mid-2025, we are dealing with persistent inflation and record-breaking consumer debt. Total U.S. consumer debt has hit $17.80 trillion. Credit card balances alone are at $1.23 trillion, with average APRs hovering around 21%. If you are carrying credit card debt at 21%, you are experiencing negative compounding. You are effectively trying to swim against a current that is 3 times faster than your swimming speed. You cannot invest your way out of a 20% interest hole. But the other enemy? It's not the economy. It's you. It's lifestyle creep. Lifestyle creep is powered by anchoring. You get a raise, and you immediately normalize a higher standard of living. You upgrade to the luxury EV. You move to the status zip code. Here is the brutal truth. The median retirement balance for people under 35 is only $18,880. That suggests half of young workers aren't even 20% of the way to the first milestone. If you want to hit that first $100,000, you have to adopt what Munger called extreme frugality. You have to engage in strategic downgrading. You have to ignore your friends who are posting lavish vacations on social media. They are likely part of that $1.23 trillion debt statistic. Do not envy people who are financing a lifestyle they cannot afford. Lastly, you cannot eat unrealized gains. There's one final trap I need to warn you about, and this one catches the people who actually succeed. Let's say you do it. You grind. You hit 100K, then 300K, then $1 million. Here's the secret nobody tells you. You will likely still feel broke. We call this the liquidity paradox. Most people who reach $1 million do so through unrealized capital gains in retirement accounts. Unrealized gains are the engine of wealth, but they are functionally useless for daily survival until you liquidate them. You can't pay for groceries with the 8% growth in your 401k. This leads to a psychological friction where you have a 7-figure portfolio, but your lifestyle is still constrained by your take-home pay. You see your account drop by $100,000 in a market correction, a 6-figure wipeout, and you feel ruined. But your actual standard of living hasn't changed. To win this game, you have to decouple your emotions from your paper net worth. You have to accept that you're building a machine for the future, not a checking account for today.
So, how do we actually do this? Based on the data, you need to view your life in 3 stages. Stage 1, the frugal sprint, from $0 to $100,000. This is war. Your goal is speed. Minimize expenses, kill high-interest debt, and maximize savings. This is the takeoff. Burn the fuel. Stage 2, the compound bridge, from $100,000 to $300,000. Once you secure $100K, you can ease off the gas, just a little. This is where the portfolio begins to match your contributions. Your focus here is simply maintaining the habit and avoiding lifestyle creep. Stage 3, the glide path, from $300,000 to $1 million. At $300K, compounding is the dominant force. At 8%, your money is making $24,000 a year on its own. Your only job here is not to panic sell. Listen to me closely. $100,000 is the mathematical escape velocity of the financial world. It is the point where the gravity of labor begins to lose its hold. The disparity between the median savings of $18,000 and the debt of millions suggests that most people are trapped in the high-friction takeoff phase. Don't let that be you. The first $100,000 is the hardest part of the journey, but it is the gatekeeper to freedom. If you found value in this breakdown and you're ready to start your takeoff, hit that like button. It helps the algorithm find other people stuck on the runway. I'm Simba. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.